I am poking my head in here. You should be hard at work on your list. There are a couple things that came to mind that I wanted to point out to you. So this is not going to be a full lesson, but an encouragement with just a few tips about writing those lists. If you haven't seen part 1 of the Time Tamers series, please start out there and make sure that you get your PDF download. heartcleanse.org/time-tamers so you can get to work. This is a workshop for you. At the end of this workshop, you will take a cluttered, stressful daily schedule and you will turn it into something that blesses you. So why do you need this? Because we are overall a time-starved society. It makes for unhappy people. You're not alone. If you feel stressed out and like you can't get it all done, the very equation of stress is too much to do with not enough time. And we can't give you more time. So what we need to do and what we're going to do is to budget and organize and slash and cut and stretch and tweak what you do in a 24-hour time span so that you don't go to the default of stress, which is such an American consequence to the American way of doing things. So, but at a deeper level, we don't want to buy into the fact that busy is better, that busy is honorable. We want to be productive. Yes, we do. God created each of us with certain gifts and tasks to make this a better world. But busyness, it does not have to equal productivity. A lot of people waste time all day long and run out of time. But productivity, superstar producers of checklists and checking them off might not be fruitful. We want to be busy in what the Lord has called us to do, and we want to be fruit-bearing people, not just productive machines. And when we are bearing fruit, when we change the goal from busy to relaxed to productive to what the real goal is a fruitful day, I will have positive impact on those around me. And I will also be growing the fruit of the Spirit on the inside. I will walk through that day of fruit bearing, growing in the Lord's, the Holy Spirit driven fruit of love, joy, peace, patience. That's really what we're looking for, not to just conquer the list. All right. So we're going to zero in for the next couple installments. Where we're at right now is on one day. We're going to craft one beautiful day, and then we will repeat it, or we will repeat it with tweaks. But we're going to zero in on one day, and how can we make one day a beautiful day? And then we'll take that to a broader section of time, because we need to broaden it and use what we learn in the creation of that one day to create a lovely week and possibly a lovely month. Depends on how repetitive your days are. And another reason that we want, again, the goal is not to produce more in less time. It is to be overall more fruitful and to enjoy our fruitfulness, to bless others with our fruitfulness. When we are living outside of our means, we're going to be having to strive in the flesh to get it all done. And that means when life happens, when interactions happen, when interruptions happen, we will respond in the flesh. And that is what makes us feel bad when we go to sleep at night. We snapped at someone, we cut corners, we ruined something because it didn't get the amount of time that we wanted to give it. We didn't give our best performance because we ran out of time and we were stressed. When we lay our head on the pillow at night, we want to be tired. We want to feel satisfied. We don't want to go to bed burdened with all I didn't get done, how I responded to Susie, how I neglected Johnny. We want to go to sleep knowing that we have accomplished what God had for us that day, and that we had the emotional margin to respond to all the invisible items on the day's agenda that the Lord put in our path. That's the goal. There are biblical principles that apply. We have an eternal mindset. We will always want more time than we are given on the planet. Every one of us gets 24 hours a day. While we're on the planet, we will not be able to live without time limitations. We need to accept that. And then we work within those boundary lines to create a pleasant rhythm. And boundary lines are time, our time boundaries, they are energy boundaries, they are season of life boundaries. But I do believe that there is a sweet spot that we can arrive at. That's what the workshop is for. We can arrive at that sweet spot where I am living within my boundary lines pleasantly. And there's give, right? Think of a pair of pants that you really don't fit into. That's not a pleasant feeling. You put them on anyway, but you got to kind of hold your breath and sit certain ways, stand certain ways. That is a boundary line that is being pushed, right? Think of the suitcase that closes, locks, and fits right in that stand, that terrifying stand at TSA that says, "Thou shalt not bring this on the plane unless it meets these requirements." You can have a 14 by 13 suitcase, but it is so jam packed that you can barely get the locks on it. You're hoping that it will pass muster. You hope that it'll fit up there. You know, we don't like that person in front of us who puts the suitcase up there, but it's got sweaters and ski poles attached to it. It doesn't really fit. It's not really living within its boundary lines. And if you have packed a suitcase like that, it's like packing the Christmas decorations away. You might fit it all in the cabinet. You might fit it all in the suitcase, but you need one thing out of there and you pull it out and the whole thing just bursts, explodes open. Those are all pictures of not living within boundary lines. And another aspect of pleasantness and living within our bounds is that God loves a cheerful giver. So I might have a friend who has a capacity to raise many children cheerfully, and work a part-time job and run a family business. If she is able to handle that sort of capacity of activity and stimulation, yay her. But that's not how I decide what God wants me to be involved in. I might be very, very cranky if I had that same amount of activity and responsibility in my life. So I want to work with what God has given me, with how He has created me. I am sharp in the morning, not so sharp in the afternoon. So I try to do all my creating in the morning where it cheerfully flows out of me. I try to do the more mindless activities in the afternoon because I can't think it takes me twice as long to think creatively in the afternoon as in the morning. A lot of finding the sweet spot of a well-planned, nice, pleasant rhythmed day has to do with knowing and accepting who I am and what season of life I'm in, and what just knowing who I am and where my strengths and weaknesses lie. And once again, time is a resource to be stewarded. Money, we might be able to increase the income. We might be able to change the job to a job that has fewer hours. There are certain, we can change the calories and that will change our weight perhaps, but time is the same amount no matter how long you live. You get 24 hours a day, and it's your job to steward it, just as you are to steward your money. You are to steward your calorie intake. You are to steward the care of your home. You are to steward the care of all your possessions. You are to steward the use of your time to complete your responsibilities. Time, you get 24 hours every day, and this is the day the Lord has made. And we want to live it well, enjoy it, and maximize our impact on the world, as well as the growth of spiritual fruit inside of us. So when we hit that sweet spot, we will find ourselves contented. We might be challenged. we might be growing, we might be stretched. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's a lot right with that. But that is very different than chaotic, nonstop grind, stress, survival. The wonderful thing about this, my friends, the magic is that you have control. God gave us a certain number of hours, and he gave us principles so that we can manage our days and not be enslaved to them. I think I'm repeating myself, but I believe in this topic so strongly. So how do we do it? That's what you're in the midst of right now. I hope you haven't been trying to create your schedule. There's lots of those kind of workshops out here. That's not what we're going to do here, where you create some superhuman schedule where you fit 45-minute tasks into 30-minute slots and you knock it out at the end of every day and you hate your life. It's not what we're doing. We are first assessing the current reality. That's what you're supposed to be doing right now. You are not judging or editing. You are watching yourself and going, Mondays are kind of cool. I like Mondays. There's a great feeling of accomplishment when I go to bed. But Tuesdays, oh my gosh, by Tuesday afternoon, it's all going crazy. By Wednesday, I'm drinking an extra pot of coffee. Thursday, I think I'm going to die. Friday, I've given up. I have all discouraged and I need to go escape all weekend. That's the kind of thing we're looking for right now. Or if your days are at home, are rather repetitive, there's no going out, you're saying, well, you know, my mornings, I am so groggy. I'm snapping at everyone. Afternoon seems to be my sweet spot. But by then, I've already alienated everyone in my home. We're watching. We're silent observers. We are consultants for our own life that are taking notes and saying, I think we're going to need to work on this. We're going to need to shift that. That's all you're doing right now. That's all you're doing. You're also creating a list of, good golly, that was another day where I did not call my mother. Or, oh my goodness, my husband and I miss each other for 5 straight days in a row. All we do is put out fires in the house. Or, it's another year gone by and I haven't picked up that hobby. So we are watching what the reality is. And we're also at the same time taking note of, oh, if only, I opened that cabinet, it's another year that cabinet is a mess. Or, oh no, the paper pile has grown up again. So I would like to attend to my paper that comes in on a daily basis. We're taking notes and imagining what it would look like to have it all together and to not have those stress points. And then once we have those lists that are in random order, we're not even talking about how long each of them takes. We're going to dive into this, and we will talk a little bit more about it next time. I'm telling you, this is a workshop. You can't take an out of control, many faceted schedule and lifestyle and change it in one teaching. It takes prayer, it takes writing, it takes dreaming, and it takes reorganizing. But if you stick with it, you will create a day that you love, which turns into a week that you love, which turns into a month by month of the only life God has given you that you enjoy. We produce fruit on the outside and on the inside. So today we're going to talk. I want to challenge you to this pyramid that is very, very simplified, but this is the way I want you to look at it. God, you have accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. I hope that that is the case for you. And then I will tell you that he goes before you. He knows how to order your day better than you ever will. And so what I am urging you to do is to put him first. Because if you start off doing your day and cramming him in somewhere during the week, maybe on a Sunday morning, you will be off course. That's you leading yourself. So I teach the ladies in HEARTCleanse, the basic, most pivotal choice moment that you have in your day is who's going to run it. And so we encourage each other to start out by giving God time, by surrendering ourselves to him, offering our schedule up to him. This is my agenda for the day, Lord, that I've created with your help. But Father, I give myself to you. I want to know you better. I want to journal to you. I want to pray to you. I want to fill up in your throne room on your grace and mercy. And then I am going to do the other things that my life involves. The second most basic thing to take care of, obviously, is my own heart and my own temple, meaning my body. So as much as we don't want to have to attend to that, attend to it now or attend to it when the emergency comes up. Attending to your heart means I am leaving my burdens with the Lord. I am keeping short accounts with other people. I'm not allowing bitterness or envy or jealousy, any of those things to remain in my heart. I lay them before the Lord as soon as possible and ask him to deliver me. And I am taking care of my temple, because if my body breaks down, everything higher up is not going to matter. I'm not going to be there to take care of my marriage. I don't want to have my temple so crying out for attention and repair that my marriage, my family, my obligations, and everything else take it on the chin. So we want to be proactive in temple care and proactive in heart care. You get those two basic things right. I'm okay with God. I'm taking care of where he resides, which is in me. I am the temple of the living God now, right? And my relationship with him, I've got a short, quick connection with him. We're in contact. Those things I get right, and I guarantee all the rest is going to go a lot better. So at this point, I am just telling you, put that on your list. You need to have consistent time with God. We're not going to talk about where or when or how right now, but make sure you have that on your list. Self-care, physical care, that means you go to the dentist, you go to the doctor, you get your checkups, you get your exercise, you have time to create meals that are good for you, healthy for you, and that you have time for you to process your life with the Lord through prayer, journaling, etc. Next comes marriage, because if you do not nurture the marriage relationship, your children will suffer. You need to treat your marriage like a fragile plant that needs tender care. It needs time. It needs attention. At some point, if you are married and you do have children, at some point those children will be gone, and that marriage from the home, and that marriage should be able to stand on its own after the season of caring for young. And you start that now. Family comes afterwards. If your heart is right with God, you're healthy, your marriage is being poured into, your family will be blessed. So put family at the bottom and you'll end up exhausted, stressed out, bitter, and resentful, and guilty about not meeting all the needs. So get these things in order. Then there are certain things we're just called to do. I might have a neighbor who's really ill and I'm responsible for them, or I might have a dog or a cat. I might have a regular position on a committee that requires one meeting every other Wednesday. Anything else that I've signed up for or that God has signed me up for, they come after my own house is in order. And then there's everything else. What happens is everything else can be on the bottom and we are not accomplishing anything. Or when marriage is crumbling, family's out of sorts because I've given family my first fruits, instead of giving God and my heart my first fruits. All of a sudden I'm escaping into everything else because life is so crushing. Okay, I might even take on way too many obligations because that middle section, family and marriage, are such a mess. I don't even want to talk to God about it. And my body's breaking down. I might chase after obligations to take the focus off of my first priorities. So there's a lot of running, escaping, self-soothing that ends up taking up most of my time, because what should take up the juiciest part of my day has been thrown out the window. So would you please trust me and take care of business first, and then you have a better chance of having to give to others. This is what happens. This is what runs your life. There's not freedom in not putting God first. If you don't put God first and invite him to rule your schedule, if you don't hang tight and obey him and all the scriptures about keeping your heart clean and caring for the temple of God, if you don't let that primarily rule your life first and foremost, then all this other stuff will be your masters, right? You will be a victim of the everything else that tugs at you. We are a culture that is distracted. We are a culture of, yeah, enough said. So either be a slave, a bond slave to Christ, or be enslaved by everything around you. So I'm not saying it's not salmon swimming upstream. It is countercultural to seek God first. But I tell you, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. That's your heart. And all these things will be added unto you. Everything else will fall into place. All right. I want to help you. This ideally is a one-on-one workshop, but that's just not feasible. I want to help as many people as I can, but your unique circumstances, you have a child with special needs, you have a husband with physical needs, you have you're in a certain season of life where you have to work 2 jobs. There's so many facets to one person's life, but I believe it is God's will for you to find that sweet spot and to grow and to have impact and to not be stressed out. There's not one of God's children that God's like, you know what, her life's got so many responsibilities that she's just going to be miserable for that season. That can't possibly be God's will, right? So I want you to write your lists and come back again. I said part 2 there. This is like an in-between part 1 and part 2 here. And so you have these lists of things to include. This is a random list, not in order. We talked about it last time, so I'm just flashing them on the screen. There's lots and lots of things that you want to include in your day. All right, there you go, there you go, there you go. That number 10 is what I'm doing. I have a big, ugly project. I don't like organizing holiday decorations. But there they are in my basement, and they need to find their special place. And we had to unload everything off of the first floor into the basement because we had some company coming over and it was not put away properly. So now it's just a big jumbled mess, all in the wrong boxes, all unlabeled. That's the kind of thing that makes me not want to get out of bed. So I set aside 30 minutes for my chip away project. It will soon enough be my yard, my garden, things that are hard for me and overwhelming and make me resentful to give a whole weekend to it or to use my week of vacation to do that. So, but the amazing magic can happen at 30 minutes a day if I put it into my schedule. All right. So all of this stuff, but remember, God and self-care and heart care are really important. Don't forget to add in your dream day list. I'd love to work on this hobby, that hobby. Love to have one-on-one time with each child. I'd love to have a date night every night with your husband. We're dreaming right now. We will have to chop and slash and tweak. But right now, you are envisioning what you would love to be an average day in your life. All right, so this can be crazy wild. I'd like to plan a trip to Antarctica. I'd love to get a ministry going, writing letters of encouragement to shut-ins. I would love to read every book on the best loved books list at the library. Whatever it is, whatever fills your joy bucket, whatever is something that you keep never getting to. I want to write a book, can't get it, want to start a blog, don't know where to start, want to really get caught up on politics, don't have time. This is what you put on your dream list. Okay, and we will talk about how to start how to include some of those in your day to day. All right, so I want you to write your lists and I want you to come back. All right, so I will see you at part 3 or whatever. I don't know what I'm going to call it, if I'm going to call it part 2 or not, but I just want to give you regular encouragement. And we will continue work on our workshops. Let me hear from you and see you at the next one, my friend.